Even as the wheel of time turns and the dragon reborn leaves his mark upon the wastelands, the two rivers remains a safe haven for free folk. Or do they? Danger is looming and time is running out. And the wheel keeps turning for the age to begin once more. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome to my first review on this channel. My name is Ammar Al Naaimi. I am a fantasy author who also has started an online bookshop called Fantasy Majlis. My goal, as always, is to provide fun fantasy books, which also give us something to think about in the world. And today, in this review, this first review, we're going to be talking about The Dragon Reborn. Salam alaikum, this is Present Ammar, and I just realized that at the start, at the outset of this review, I said the name of book 3, The Dragon Reborn, and not the name of the book which I just finished reading, The Shadow Rising. This review is The Shadow Rising, which is book 4. Yeah, let's get back to the review. The fourth of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. This channel is going to aim to become a haven for my reviews and skits, all focused around fantasy books. Hopefully, you'll enjoy this review and you'll consider subscribing, and then you'll get notified whenever I have other reviews coming out. First things first, the world of the Wheel of Time is a really interesting one because it speaks about an age where magic is in decline, especially after the shattering, the breaking of the world. This was a disaster where an extremely powerful male magician called Louis Theron went mad, killed everyone whom he loved, and broke the world. There's also a taint left on the what's called Sidon, which is the male half of the one true power. In this world, you have a bunch of kingdoms, a bunch of different peoples, and there's a really big focus on history. There's a big focus on how history sort of repeats itself. This is like a Platonic theory as well, and it's also you can, if you go into Eastern philosophy, you can find it as well in the subcontinent. The idea that we're in this world which keeps sort of repeating itself over and over again, where people are reborn, where actions are repeated, where ages come and go, and then once they are forgotten, they come again. And it's a really interesting way of looking at the world. Because of the magic system, the world is very much gendered, where you have this sort of cabal called the White Tower, Aes Sedai. These are women who are able to use magic and who are feared and distrusted, but very much respected in that world. And they have a hand in kingdoms and political parties. Something really important about this world is that there's a dark one. Of course, there's a dark one. The Dark One was imprisoned by the Creator long before the beginning of all of this, and he's in this prison. He's trying to break free, and there are these people called the Forsaken, who are very powerful magicians who are trying to break him free. He's imprisoned in Shayal Ghul. Why does it sound vaguely Arabic? I don't know. أنا ما أعرف. إيش دراني. In the Wheel of Time series, we follow Rand al'Thor, who is, because of the theme of resurgence and reincarnation, is the reincarnation of Louis Theron. And so he's predestined to have magic, to have power, but also to go insane and bring cataclysm once more after he defeats the Dark One. Now let's get into the plot. In this book, you have three main things happening simultaneously. Four main things happening simultaneously. You have Rand al'Thor going to the wastelands to unite the people called the and to fulfill a prophecy there. Okay. You have Elaine and Nineveh going to hunt evil witches in a different city that I can't remember the name of right now. You have Perrin going to the two rivers because he heard that there's a witch hunt happening there targeted at him and his family. So he's going there to save his family. And then finally, you have the White Tower where catastrophe is taking place. We can see that from Min, who also has that's it's told from the point of view of Min, who has the ability to see part of people's fates by looking at their faces. And so you have all these things happening at the same time. And the method that Jordan uses to tell the story is different points of view, and specifically a method that's called Meanwhile at the Farm. What this method does is it takes you through the first character's point of view, and you go through their adventure until the tension rises and rises, and something amazing is about to happen. And then he cuts it off at the cliffhanger, and he shows you a different point of view and a different story. And this is a very well known method because what it does is it plays with tension. You know, you're always basically at the edge of your seat. There's always something exciting that you're looking forward to. And what this does is it gives you an incentive to keep reading because you want to get to your favorite part as soon as possible. And I really appreciate that. What I do not appreciate, and that's my main problem with this book, my second main problem with this book, is the pacing. Because honestly, like everything gets resolved. This is how thick the book is. It's 995 pages, okay? 993 pages. And everything gets resolved here in the last 100 pages. Why? Guys, why? Why does it have to be that way? Like, even as I read, like, I could tell that not much is happening right now. So, can we, like, get to some exciting parts, please? Robert, Allah rahmak. But yeah, that's my main problem with the book, and that's an issue with the plot. But honestly, the plot in general is very well written. I only wish that it had been paced more evenly. That might be just a personal thing. The magic system in the Wheel of Time is perhaps one of the most interesting aspects of it. It is gendered. You have something called the One Power, but this one power is split into two parts. Saidin, which is the male part of the one power, which is used by men, and Saidar, which is the female power, which is used by women. These are, you can think of these as two different wells of power. So only men can use the male half, only women can use the female half, and even the theory on how to use it is different. Now, the issue is there is a taint on the male half, which means that any man who can channel, who can use magic, will inevitably go insane and kill people. And so any man who is found to have the ability to channel must either be killed or gentled, where female sorcerers go and they basically perform a lobotomy, I suppose, on him. Because of that, only women are allowed to be sorcerers, which means only women are allowed to be strong, which means that there's a very specific type of respect that you see for women, and there's also a mistrust of women who have magic because men really can't do much to counter them. In this world is born Rand al'Thor. In the first three books, we saw him go through adventures after he found out that he is the Dragon Reborn. And he has to navigate this very strange situation where the White Tower wants to control him and use him to defeat the Dark One and bring peace. But also, they know that he's going to go insane sooner or later. And so there's inherent mistrust. And some people think he needs to be gentled and he needs to prove that he is, in fact, the Dragon Reborn and not just another man who can channel. If they think that he's just another dude with magic. Now, the cool thing about the magic system is that the one power seems to be only one of the different strange things, powers, fantastical elements which exist in this world. So, for example, there are people who seem to have a pull on the thread of fate, the wheel of time, and they're called tavern. I don't know how to pronounce it. ما أعرف. And they're basically people whose very nature pulls on fate, and our three main characters. Well, there was more than three, but the three main characters, Randall, Thor, Matt, and Perrin, are each tavern, with Rand being the strongest, and they each seem to have something special about them. So Rand is, of course, the Dragon Reborn. He's the most special of them all. Yay! He'll go insane and he'll save the world and then kill lots of people. Matt seems to have some sort of grayish ability, which has something to do with luck, fate, and death. And you can see him sort of flirting with the forces of darkness throughout the first 1 2 books, because he's a mischievous guy, and he's always just like trying to trick people. He's the Loki, I guess, of this world. And because of that, he seems to have a few special abilities that he came across through his ability to manipulate luck without knowing that he has that ability. So now, like, he has access to a whole new language. The old language. He has access to the memories of warriors from the past for some reason, and he also is very lucky, like in gambling. And then you have Perrin. Perrin seems to be a werewolf, quote unquote, مستذئب, مستذئب. And this means that he's able to dreamwalk. I don't know why wolves are able to dreamwalk, but apparently they can, and so can he. He has the ability to summon a lot of strength, and because of his nature as a tavern, we really see in this book that he has like charisma and he can command people and people listen to him. So having these like different ways of accessing quote unquote magic other than the one power is really interesting, because it adds to the depth of the novel. And I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed Matt's and Perrin's abilities more than I enjoy Rand's. The characters. Oh man, the characters. Like, taken one by one, the characters are just, because the characters are like, the way they introspect is so good. Robert Jordan does a thing where he plays with long and short sentences to sort of simulate the inner monologue of these characters. And so you'll have sentences like, I'm sure just going randomly, I can find a couple. Elaine pursed her lips thoughtfully. This was something new from the Aiel woman. Not the anger. She had seen Avian the angry before, if not quite to this degree. But the undertone. She could call it nothing but sulkiness. That seemed as unlikely as Lan being sulky, but there it was. Like, the tone, man, the way he does tone is so beautiful, and it reflects best on the characters, because you can you can read these paragraphs from that character's perspective, which is quite a feat considering how many different point of views we have in this book. Each character individually is fantastic. My problem happens when the characters interact with one another. It's sometimes it's just, يا أخي ود الحلال cringe يا أخي والله يا أخي cringe. And it's not that, it's mainly when you have like a male character and a female character interacting, because like the romantic elements of this book really hinge on the mysteriousness of women, and how they're like, oh, women think in different ways. Exactly, صح سنة لا. And I really don't appreciate it, and that bleeds into a wider issue where even the male characters interacting with male characters, and even the female characters interacting with female characters, there are so many misunderstandings happening that I just don't like. Like, so many times in this book, you have a character going like, so difficult to understand. He said so and so, but I don't know why. Like, yeah, I know why. I, the reader, know why. How come you don't understand it and you're there? صح no no? The theme is super interesting because you have a couple of very excellent main themes. So there's an overarching theme of history repeating itself, and this is like a very philosophical theme and theory called eternal return. Specifically in Plato, Pythagoras, and then in the Stoics, there's an idea of cycles of the world sort of starting from a point, going through everything that we know as history, and then starting once more in a different cycle after it gets destroyed. And I think it's a way, I can't remember if it's Plato or Pythagoras, but for one of them, it is a way to explain the eternal nature of the universe while leaving space for destruction. This series of books really, they hinge on this theory because they are all about how the wheel of time keeps turning and the pattern repeats itself. Like prophecies are really just history, kind of, because by recording what has already happened, you can tell what's going to happen in the future as well. You have Rand who goes like, "No, I don't want to go insane, but the prophecy says I am going to be going insane." And I can see it starting to happen slowly because each time I use magic, this swampness, this taint, this devilishness gets left on my soul, and I can feel myself getting sick here and here. One theme. The second theme is gender, because since only women can use magic, they have a very important place in the world and in society, and they're respected and feared. And you can see the split into two halves in this book. You have the White Tower, which is very hierarchical. They're trying to like very systematically guide the world, and they're mistrusted. And then on the other hand, in indigenous societies such as the Sea Folk Society and in the wastelands, women just have power, and they're like, yeah, we're strong and we'll work with you guys. It's fine. And they're much better respected, both in the Sea Folk Society and in the wastelands. And you can see one of the characters commenting on it that, okay, why is the White Tower feared and these women are not? And I think that's some sort of commentary about also women's rights and the feminist movement and how it can be steered in the right direction. But I don't understand these movements well enough to. Oh, wish. You don't want me to talk about the feminist movement? Hmm? We're not going to talk about the feminist movement, خلاص? The writing. Robert Jordan is amazing. On a paragraph by paragraph basis, he's just so good. The fellow was too distant to see clearly, just a tall, dark haired man, but plainly not a Trolloc or anything of the sort, in a blue coat with a bow on his back, stooping over something on the ground hidden by the low brush. Yet there was something familiar about him. The wind rose, and Perrin caught his smell faintly, a cold scent. That was the only way to describe it. Cold, and not really human. Suddenly his own bow was in hand, an arrow nocked, and the weight of a filled quiver tugged at his belt. Very well written. Yeah, I really don't have any comments on the writing style except that I love how word choice is employed, how long and short sentences are mixed together to really get us into the mind of the characters while also giving us a visual. That's difficult. Putting you in the mind of a character while also giving you a visual of what's happening out in the world. It's so difficult and it's amazingly well done here. Final thoughts. I think this is a very good addition to the series. It is well written. It puts you into the world. It explores the magic system in way more detail. And it has depth of the kind that you only dream of. Like, this is the kind of book series that you can dive into. It is not a creek, it is not a river like those in the Two River forests. No, it is an ocean, deep and unending, and you can spend your life there if you so wish. 4.5 stars. This concludes my review of The Dragon Reborn. Hi, it's me again. This is not The Dragon Reborn. This is The Shadow Rising. I hope you'll leave a comment with your own thoughts about the book, and if you enjoyed what I provided here, I hope you consider subscribing or taking a look at my website. Um, I also write books. I wrote that one right over there, Sarim, which is an urban fantasy about Omani jinn hunters living in Muscat. I don't know what my next review is going to be, but I know it's going to be in October, so I had better finish a book quickly. شكرا. مع السلامة.